I won't ever forget. I said a prayer to God because hunting. We've talked about it. It's very important to us, but in the grand scheme of things, it holds no. It's hard to say it holds no spiritual value because you can let it hold some spiritual value, but it's not like a kingdom minded thing necessarily.
Yeah.
But I sat there and I said, God, I know this deer probably has nothing to do with your plan for my life, but I know you love me, and just so you know, it would mean a lot to me if you could send it my way.
Why not throw it out there, right?
I'm gonna give that as an option.
Welcome to the Marc Smith Podcast. As hunters, fishermen, and outdoorsmen and women, life has been a journey that's taken us to high mountain peaks and low river bottoms. We've had ups and downs, trials, tribulations, and in the end, we find joy. Joy only found through the good news of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. These are our stories, so pull up a seat, lean in, and enjoy. Now, let's get to the episode.
Okay. Well, hey everybody. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Got a special guest with me here today. I would say John Jr., but I don't think that's fair because you got an older brother.
Yeah.
Kind of robbing him of his place in life.
He's a redhead too.
He's the redhead. This is Luke Hatch, one of my friends. You've seen John on the podcast before last week. John is not my oldest friend, but my oldest friendship since I was 7 years old. This is his son, Luke, and I want to have him on today because I spend just about as much time in the woods with you as anybody I know these days. And, man, we have a pretty good track record.
100%, almost. Or it might be 100% minus the hog hunt and the tally bottoms we didn't do good on. But.
Yeah, let's see, me and you started hunting together a couple of years ago. And
yes,
then
sir.
I killed a muzzleloader buck on public with you last year, early in the year, maybe around opening weekend or this year. You killed 2 hogs with your bow with me.
Yes, sir.
And then me and you went in December on what's turned into an annual hunt. And you got a real nice public land East Texas buck with your bow.
Yes, sir.
And just wanted to get you on here and talk a little bit from a East Texas hunter perspective, and as one of my hunting friends that I really look, for as young as you are, look up to, because you're probably in the top 2 or 3 best East Texas hunters I know. Because you can talk about hunters everywhere. You can talk about best hunter I know might live in New Mexico, or the best mountain man I know might live in Montana. But for our home state and our home turf, which is East Texas, and that's everything east of, I consider East Texas once you get Smith County to Louisiana. Right. Plenty woods, big woods, hardwood bottoms.
Tyler over.
Yeah, Tyler over, real East Texas. Arklatex, we'll call it,
sir.
In the Arklatex. I'm not fluffing you up, you're just one of the most consistent hunters I know, and it stems from your woodsmanship that I've come for a young guy. You've got amazing nose for where deer are and finding them. So when I go, usually I'm your guest and you're just putting me in trees and I see game. And I was that guy for the longest time. I'm going to take you and put you on game. But when I go to the deer lease, obviously I know where to hunt. But when I go with you on public land, you've consistently put me in. I don't think I've ever been and not seen deer. Maybe one time or two. But even when we went up to one of the lakes and went on some public islands, big, not quite as big as my yard.
Right, a little bit.
Yeah. Well, let's say this block right here.
Uh-huh.
We both saw deer on that thing, and it's like eating persimmons in early season. So tell us a little bit about Luke Hatch.
Son of John Hatch and grandson of Bubba Hatch. We talked about, or Dad talked about him when he was visiting with you. You definitely bragged on me probably more than you should have right there, but I appreciate that. And Dad, most of what I know has stemmed off of stuff that my dad's taught me. And it's just from being out there, really. You can spend as much time as you want to out there, just sitting in the woods, but learning how to find or hunting where deer are, and I've heard you say not where you want them to be, is probably the biggest thing to try to get past, in my opinion, because I still do it. I'll go looking through the woods and find a spot, and I want to hunt here so bad, but I can't find one reason I should be hunting here, other than I just like the spot,
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll catch myself finding a tree and sitting right there, and usually you don't have any luck, and you go back to what you know to do, and that's finding sign and following it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we've had a lot of fun and done good together so far on the public, and hoping to keep doing that.
Yeah. There's nothing better. There's nothing better, man, than just going out in the woods in a place without a bait pile,
Yeah,
without anything, and just finding those early white oaks and climbing up in a tree, and then just it's out of nowhere, deer shows up and starts eating those white oaks. That is like one of the greatest things. So a lot of these podcasts I have guests, and I talk about circumstantial stuff, but really, I'd like to talk about we'll talk about some family stuff a little bit. We'll
Yeah.
talk about those sort of things. But man, really, I kind of want to get in your head. And I think what's going to help a lot of the people listening to this podcast that are East Texas hunters, whether it's on the deer lease or some of the very limited public that we have, or just property that they can hunt. Take the property lines. Let's take the boundaries out of East Texas,
yes,
because I don't care. Deer lease hunting is just as hard as
yeah.
public land hunting. Sometimes the public land hunting I have found is more consistent and better because the deer are a little less conditioned than knowing every truck on the deer lease and
I agree with
stuff like that. So let's just take the fence lines, the boundaries, WMA boundaries, private land boundaries, all that. Let's just take that off the landscape of East Texas. Luke Hatch, opening weekend, October 1st. You want to go out, you're going to go out. You can take it from two perspectives: deer hunting or big buck hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with just deer hunting. Luke Hatch, what's your secret sauce? Opening week, I'm going in the woods, whether I'm on a deer lease, WMA, public land. When you pull up a spot you found on Onyx that you want to go look at, what's Luke looking for?
So opening day, almost every time I'm not in a tree. Now, if I have cameras on private and I get lucky and have just some consistent hogs or does or something showing up, very rarely do I have a buck showing up to a feeder or something that early in the season. So unless I've just got something that's a gimme and I want to break the ice and go kill something, usually I am still hunting with very little expectation of killing anything. But I love on opening day. Sorry, you have to excuse me. I'm losing my voice a little. But on opening day, I love just walking around the woods and scouting more or less, because my expectation is to kill a deer late October or through November, December sometime. And usually the prep work in early October is where that success might come from. I'll try the early season scouting and stuff, and I like it okay, but usually there's a transition period in October where deer change their habits. And the preseason scouting you're doing real early, I feel like it's really only benefiting you maybe those first couple sits, and then you got to start fresh. So I kind of like early October, really kind of making that more my scout time. And I'll find an area I like, especially feed trees. That's something my dad's big on and taught me, is finding feed trees and sitting there, and you might get lucky. If nothing else, it's a good observation sit a lot of times, to sit there, watch the deer come in, try to maybe see inventory or see where deer are coming from. And if, or you might find out you've sat there twice and not seen a thing,
Yeah.
move somewhere else. But yeah, early season, I would say it's not so much hunting. If I kill something in the first 2 weeks, I got lucky and walked up on something.
Yeah.
Usually, which is kind of like those hogs you were talking
Well, I was going
about.
to say, so in all the hunts I've done with you, and this is a fact, you are the best still hunter I know in East Texas, because you, more times than not, you can go slipping through the woods with a bow and get an arrow off, where that's just almost unheard of. And I think it's because of the confidence you just have in yourself, and you don't really care. You care, but you don't really care. And that's something that I've admired is you're like, you always put me in the cherry spots. I feel like you're like, hey, I found this white oak drop and Dad's killed, $4 off this whatever ridge and these white oaks. I'm going to put you there. They're dropping deer at some point today. Are going to come through these white oaks. But now let's just say we're hunting public on a lake. And then you're like, I'm going to sit back over to the boat. I'm going to run around here.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're gone. Hear the motor go off. And, 8 o'clock, you're like, well, I got a couple arrows off. I got to go find these 2 hogs. Man, I ain't even seen a cat squirrel this morning. And you're moving and shaking. And then this year on our December hunt, you put me, and I took a muzzle loader and you took your bow and you said, hey, I'm going to put you back in where I killed my buck last year with a muzzle loader. And you're like, I'm just going to go set this other little cut 300 yards from you. And then I get back to the boat and you got a nice 8-point buck laying there. You're like, oh yeah, well, he just came down this little logging road and I shot him. So you didn't cut me off at the pass. You genuinely wanted me to kill the biggest deer in the woods. I know that about you.
Yeah.
But you just have a knack for, and when I was young, I was that guy. I would put uncles and children and friends and all these, Sean, Uncle Doug, Dwayne, Travis, I'd put all the people in the spots and then I would just take off. Yeah. And I'd come back with an elk or a deer every time. And I'm like, no, you're not parking me in this tree on this pond. I'm like, oh, you mean the pond with all the rubs around it, with all the rubs and all the wallows and the elk tracks? You don't want to sit there?
Right.
That's really where I thought you were going to shoot one. No, I went out in the woods and caught the bull by his bedding area before he got over there, not even meaning to. That's my first archery elk was with Sean like that. So part of it is being mobile, especially in that early season, while you still have that cover, I think, when you have that high stem count of all the honeysuckle and that low stuff, like you have all that honeysuckle and American beautyberry and muscadines. You got all this different stuff that still got leaves on it. Makes it great. But man, come November, you don't really want to be doing that too much.
Leaves are all crunchy. And
yeah, you want to be up 30 feet, 25 feet in a climber pretty much in a post oak or something, right?
Yeah, and my buddy William Box, you know him pretty well. Me and him kind of, which my dad is a big believer in that too, but kind of came across that light bulb moment together a few years ago as far as just never wasting your time in a tree if you can't give a list of reasons why you're in that tree. Like you don't, even if you just see a rub or a scrape or something, if you don't have a game plan around hunting that scrape or why this scrape or the wind direction's this and there's, this ridge, I'm thinking they're going to pop out right here. You need to know why you're in each tree that you're in and not, as Dad put it, hunting on a hope, I think is what he said.
The problem with us is you're only going to have a day off. You got church on Sunday. You're only going to get to hunt Saturday. And how much land is there to actually walk on until you're just out of places to walk on public, right? In East Texas. Or even on a deer lease if it's your section. So sometimes you're forced to have to just, look, I just want to sit and hunt. There's days you want to kill. They call it kill day.
Yeah.
This is kill day. I feel like the prep work you did this year going into that deer you killed, I feel like you went in on kill day.
I had a feeling I had told somebody, and I had it backwards. I said, Marc will kill a deer. I said, I guarantee you in the next 3 or 4 days, he's going to kill a deer. I think we were hunting 4 days at the time. I thought I would kill a deer the next morning for no other reason than I kill 90% of my deer in the morning time. Does, bucks, anything. I very rarely kill anything in the afternoon. I had high confidence that I would shoot at something in those 4 days just because me and you were close enough together and in 2 good enough spots. I said something's going to slip up and come by one of us.
Yeah.
But that evening, I had those come in, and it kind of didn't surprise me at all that I killed from that tree, but I really actually did not expect for it to be that evening.
Yeah.
Exactly. I thought it'd be the next morning. I think we had a little cold front coming in, which is probably what had that buck on his feet that night.
It was coming through that night. Yeah. Mm-hmm. First time in is best time in, I say.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not educated yet at that point.
No, you sat in the same tree 3 days in a row. After the second day, everything in those woods is coming downwind of your tree. We just saw that this year. Everything, that little cut we were sitting in, we got to where we even watched the wood. We just sat and waited for the deer to blow right there. Yep, they're back there. You can hear them back there blowing. They just, once they figure out where you're at, they're going to walk over there and check that whole spot and then come into it, which is, it takes some guys a lifetime to learn that. But
you kind of politely called me out on that this year, and it was slapped me out of being stupid a little bit. I had at my deer lease a real nice buck showing up to the feeder consistently, and I wanted to kill that deer, but I had spent my time scouting other areas, so I wasn't prepared to hunt that deer at that feeder. And so I was being lazy and just trying to go sit on top of that feeder every day. I did it like 2 or 3 sits, and I texted you and said, "Man, every time I sit here, he doesn't show up. Every time I'm not here, he's here." And you said, "Yeah, you're not going to kill him right there, just so you know," or something
Yeah.
like that. And then we talked about finding the apex and all that. I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, what am I doing right now?"
And you did take the apex, and you did sit there, right? Didn't you go down that road a little bit?
Yes, I did, and I had deer come in on me. It would have worked, but it wasn't the deer I was after. I knew he was in that area, so I wasn't really going to shoot anything less than him because he was so consistently in that area.
Yeah, it's a
Now,
good buck too. Yeah.
I took a reason I didn't get to keep hunting that deer is I took a break from that spot to get some pressure off and went down and sat on a clear cut. Probably within a week of all that happening, and ended up shooting an 8-point on rifle with my rifle.
Yeah,
With my
and
bow.
so that took care of your deer on your deer lease that year
Yes,
for that
sir.
county. You were
Right.
down for that county, yeah.
I,
So
I would have rather had the other one, but that deer came in at a pretty long range I say long range for East Texas, about 150 yards in the fog, and I could see enough of him that I didn't want to risk letting him walk, and I'm happy with him. He was
yeah,
a
it was a
good
nice
deer.
buck. It's
Yes,
what
sir.
4-year-old deer,
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
8-point. Yeah, it was a good buck. We'll get back to some gun bow hunting
Yeah.
versus. But so we got into the mind of Luke Hatch early season. Go in just deer hunting. Let's go kill some pigs and does. That's always fun, especially if you get your recurve or new Hoyt or something. You're like, that's when we'll get a kill with this. Pretty easy right off the bat to get on a good food source in October 1st, 2nd, and shoot a deer or pig. If you can
Right.
find where they're feeding, or if you're allowed to put some chum out, some corn or something on private. Okay, let's get off the deer. So same rules.
Okay.
We're done. We're done with October. When's the best time? You got Luke Hatch has 3 days to buck hunt a year. What 3 days you picking?
Um,
And I'm saying 3 days because that gives
Yeah.
you Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or any
so
of those
they all
3
got to
days.
combine up.
Give me 3 straight days you want to go hunting.
Halloween, November 1st and 2nd.
Halloween, November 1st and 2nd.
And I have not, I believe I've killed a buck on November 2nd. I know I missed a really nice buck on Halloween. I'm not saying those are the best days of the season. I just am very confident I have consistently seen big deer as the month changes right there. And usually you're getting kind of your first little bit of cold weather. And I think the tail end of October is right when bucks are getting on their feet and getting far enough from their bed that you might see them a little more in daylight, but they're not quite with does yet. So when you do see them, it's not like the rut where you're trying to stop deer and just squeeze a shot off, which is pretty hard bow hunting.
Yep.
Even though you see a lot of nice deer in the rut, typically more times than not they're running by you chasing a doe, which is good gun hunting, not so good bow hunting. So I feel like late October you're liable to catch one either looking for does, working scrapes, or he might respond to a call, starting to get a little territorial. And the weather's nice. I like being out there at that time anyway.
You do a lot of calling. You
Yes,
do a lot
sir.
of grunting. Not so
Yeah.
much rattling, but a lot of grunting.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit, especially in that time frame
Yeah.
when the bucks. So back up when you hunt. So you're hunting Halloween in November 1st, 2nd. Those 3 days. You hunting food source, buck sign, travel routes, corridors, downwind of doe bedding, stuff like that.
Probably I like travel corridors just because I can be patient in the deer stand, but I like to see stuff. And even if I'm not shooting it, I just like to see deer walking around. Makes me feel like I'm not wasting my time. And I'm not going to hunt a travel corridor that there's not buck sign nearby. If I'm buck hunting, if I'm just deer hunting, like we're talking about early season, I'll hunt whatever.
Yeah. Now we're talking about big buck hunting now.
Yes, sir. More times than not, it's an area that I think they're going to be passing through. Not so much the place I think they're headed, which I've done that a lot of times and had some success, but I prefer to catch a deer off guard. And anytime they're coming to X, for whatever reason they're right there, it's kind of like you're saying, like a corn feeder, they're going to be a lot more suspicious and on edge, and they know they're getting to their spot, so they're just on high alert typically. So I like to try to, if I can find where a deer's bedding and find where he's going, I would definitely, that's an obvious deal, get somewhere in between, you know. But I would say a travel corridor or something that's tore up with buck sign sitting just outside of all that buck sign on the downwind side if I can, or like we were talking about hunting the lake. You can use that to your advantage a lot. Hunting bodies of water or rivers, anything like that. Uh, Always have your wind blowing towards the water, and not saying they'll never swim out there and smell you, but it's very
A
unlikely.
lot less likely. Yes.
So you can get away with hunting areas that you can kind of take a barrier of their safety out of it when they don't have the option to circle around you.
And that's exactly what I wanted to get to, because feeders aren't the evil end all be all. They are the exact same to a big buck in November. A feeder is a scrape.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hot acorn tree. It's just a point of interest, and very rare is the kind of bucks we're wanting to kill going to walk over, drop his head in corn in November in daylight and eat.
Right.
Pretty rare. They're going to cruise around that thing on the apex of that J hook of the this and check it and move on to the. And if they're on a deer lease with 10 feeders, he's going to do every one of them. He knows where all those are. And so scrapes you treat the same way. And people were like, well, I moved 10 yards over here. You're still in the wind cone of whatever that is, right? So it takes a lot of trial and error and failure to figure that out, but that's what you're talking about. That kind of stuff just fires me up, man.
Well, and I would only, it's only fair to say I've learned a lot of that from you as well, and listening to stories of your success and Dad's as well. But you had mentioned calling too. I don't think I answered that.
Yeah.
You got me started on the Hattie bow calls, which I was calling a little bit before that. Honestly, typically had pretty low success rate calling deer, which I had a buck roar, which in the Midwest, it probably works great, just like it does on TV.
Yeah, 300-pound unconditioned deer.
Right. Yeah. And I would try it just like that, how you see it, do it on TV. I'd hit it loud and aggressive and follow up with a snort wheeze. I watched a deer sprint the other direction before when I did that.
Yep.
And eventually just kind of let the common sense take over and was like, the deer around here don't seem to like that very much.
They don't sound like that.
No. Anytime you hear a deer, so you gave me the Hattie bow, and the day you gave it to me, you said, this is all you need to do with it. And it's not a roar or snort wheeze or anything like that. It's the same thing you hear when a buck's walking through the woods in the rut, and it's just
just a little. It's so subtle you almost can't hear it.
Right.
It's not roaring and carrying on. Yeah.
The day you gave me that, I went on to some public and did nothing but that. Called in 2 does. I did that, and 2 does came right to me. Weren't bucks, but I had their curiosity piqued. They came directly to me looking for me. And since then, I've been doing that. And I bet I call in a deer at least every 3 sits. Now, it might be a doe, it might be a spike, or it might be a buck. But just being subtle with it like that, and being kind of, I mean, it's probably deer like people. If you try to make a sound that sounds approachable, they're much more likely to approach than if you sound like a 400-pound 7-year-old deer that's looking for a fight, and I'm just trying to shoot a 4-year-old East Texas 8-point, you know?
Yeah. Sounding like what you hear. It's the best deer call for our country, and I think anywhere in the South. If that deer's under 200 pounds, he just needs to have a soft little grunt, and it's got to make sense. And they're not long growls and stuff. I'm not saying they don't ever do that,
right?
But what the natural sound is, and in all honesty, I used to grunt deer. I've been grunting deer in Kansas for 30 years, 25 years. I never grunted in East Texas till I was talking to your dad. But your dad has a great natural voice, right?
He uses his mouth.
And he's got a natural voice grunt, and he's got video of summertime grunting in velvet bucks with your little sister.
While he's fishing in a pond for brim, I think. And he starts doing just similar, but it's like a little doe bleat, but nothing crazy. I'm not going to try to imitate it. I'll look like a fool, but yeah, 2 or 3 doe come over the pond dam and maybe a fawn or something, and they're coming right to him while he's doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the whole subtle approach works a lot better on East Texas deer for sure. It probably works good anywhere. Now, where you said in Kansas, the loud one might work there, and I know it does some. I'm positive the subtle one would still work there. It's just a lot safer of a bet. I know I never really called deer in consistently until you kind of shared that information with me, and I quit doing what I saw people do on TV. Now, I got lucky a few times.
Yeah.
Or luck, it happened to be the right circumstances that
It made sense. Yeah.
But it was just luck that I happened to do it right then. As far as now, if I go and sit in the woods 3 times, I guarantee you one of those times I've grunted deer in. That used to not happen for me, but it does now since I've been a lot more reasonable with my approach.
Yeah.
You know, I would, I don't leave without it. And for a while, I didn't take one with me, a grunt call.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to know that. I grunted that same year, the year I gave you that call.
Yes, sir.
One of those bucks up there, I just grunted in. The 2 years in a row, I grunted bucks to my tree and killed them with that thing. So I know it works. On that topic and in that time frame, there's one deer we got to talk about. That's probably one of the most epic East Texas, you know what I'm talking about, bucks I've ever known killed. And I think it was a 11 pointer
11 point. Yes,
that you killed on public. It was end of October.
It was really kind of late October, that's right when I'm thinking maybe there's always the chance you're going to kill a deer, or a buck. You can kill a deer opening day, but a buck I'm not counting on until I would say past the 15th of October. This was I want to say around the 20th, right where I'm starting to kind of get my confidence up a little bit. And that is a pretty interesting story that if it's okay, I want
to tell the whole story because it was
really
absolutely epic to me, dude. It's like if there's a signature Luke Hatch buck, this is the one.
Yeah, it is the deer.
I'm going to tell you the date you killed it because I got the pictures in my phone.
Okay. It's the deer I'm the most proud of the story anyway. I'm not saying it's my favorite deer, but the story definitely. And there's we can tie it back into some spiritual stuff too a little bit at the end of it.
Sure.
So that year was on public land. I was having some issues with my boat, so was hunting some just from the road access areas that typically I don't have. You got the date?
October 29th, 10:27 a.m.
There you go. That was right there by Halloween.
October 29th, 10:27 a.m.
And that picture that's right when I took it, because I killed that deer at about probably 10:20.
Yeah.
Maybe even closer to 10:30. I found that deer, and I'm getting ahead of myself. Unexpectedly found that deer way before I intended to find that deer. But so my boat wasn't working good that year. I don't remember if I had some carburetor issues or what it was with it. But that October, I didn't have a boat. So typically we like to, if there's a river, if there's a lake, whatever we're hunting by, if we can use a boat to cut out some competition, we like to do that. But nowadays it's got so publicized that that's really not even that effective anymore using the boat, but wasn't using the boat that year. There's a lot of main areas everybody knows to go hunt, usually the big woods everywhere, biggest patches of woods, there's going to be people in them. This was a small patch of woods, real close to some roads and real close to some houses, barely legal, but it was legal where I was hunting. Just as far as meeting the state standards for hunting near someone else's house. So me and Dad had scouted in here early season quite a bit. I believe my little brother Jackson had shot like a 3-point or something on opening day. We had found some buck sign. We'd found some feed trees. We hadn't necessarily found what you'd call X yet, but we had spent, late October, we had spent enough time in there. We were getting closer, seemed like. Still, none of us had laid eyes on a mature buck in there, but there was enough sign to prove one was living in there. And I knew I had a little bit of competition in that area because I had walked up I'd seen other boot tracks, following little rabbit trails and stuff through the woods. And I had walked up on a guy one day that I don't know how he didn't see me. I'd walked straight. I was almost looking up at him, but he was facing the other way. I just looked up in a tree and there's a dude sitting there, scared me to death. I turned around and walked back out. Well, we have hunted all over this patch of woods and haven't, getting close to the end of October, hadn't found the deer we're after yet. And we're not running trail cameras, so we don't know what he looks like. We just know a deer lives in there. That probably a deer we would shoot. Just there's plenty of buck sign to prove that. And I went in there. Dad was going to come with me, but the weekend before, maybe the day before, for all I remember, he had sat in the rain and had got freezing cold, and it was supposed to rain that morning. And Dad said, "You know what? I did that last time. I'm good on sitting in the rain. Go have fun." So I went by myself, and it was I don't know why, it was an eerie morning though, even in the dark. When I pulled up right there, I called this buck, and I don't really consistently call him this, but I started to at the beginning. I was going to call him the chicken buck because that morning when I walked in, it was just a mist and rain, but real still, stagnant feeling air. I was sweating walking in, but it was raining. And all of a sudden I hear this commotion coming out of the brush. And it doesn't matter if you're a grown man or not. When you hear something running at you in the dark, it's natural to want to run the other way, you know. So I'm kind of backpedaling, knocking arrow, and looked like a Dominica rooster. It was some kind of chicken that was gray and speckled, come running out of the bushes at me. And I think he just saw my light. Yeah. Remember, I'm not far from houses, so I don't know if he got lost and thought maybe I was home or a porch light or what, but scared me to death. And I really don't even know where I'm going this morning. I just know I'm hunting this section of woods. It's kind of, I'm still in that early season mode of just looking around. Well, I knew they had clear cut an area, and there was a standing of timber they had left through the middle of that. I'd walked through it before, no buck sign whatsoever, but I was just thinking, this isn't a big patch of woods right here. Maybe this deer's accessing it instead of walking through the wide open. He's coming through this little finger of timber that's left standing. I thought, I'm going to go sit in there this morning and just, had a little bit of a game plan, but had more kind of hunting on a hope a little bit. But I had scouted and known where his sign was and had hunted that sign and had no success. So just trying to think outside the box, do something different this morning. Well, I get set up and I'm sitting on the ground because mobile hunting still at this time of year. And all of a sudden I hear a limb snap and I look up and there's a mainframe 8-point with, well, he's an 8-point on one side. He's got 4. The other side, he's really I guess it would be a 10-point. He had 5, but 2 kickers off his G2s. Wow. So another reason I kind of called that deer the chicken buck. It looked like a chicken foot on the top of his G2 there. Yeah. And he's coming right to me. It's perfect, except I shoot right-handed, so I need the deer on my left-hand side. Well, he's coming right to me, and he turns and goes to my right, and I'm already sitting down. So I stand up when he's not looking and tried to shift. And when I did, just the tiniest twig shifted beneath my foot. That deer looks right at me, gone, running wide open through the woods. And I'm defeated, thinking, man, that was one of the biggest public land East Texas deer I've ever looked at. I had him, he was at 30 yards and blew it, you know. But I'm sitting there and feeling beat down, but I'm like, I've got to give this deer all I can this morning because you don't get those chances too often on public. So I ran around in the woods and thought, I'm going to come over to another area. I'm not going to tell too much about this area to give it away, but there was a certain area, a landmark I was headed to, thinking maybe he'll go over here. And I sat there and something just didn't feel right. I was like, man, I'm not going to kill this deer right here. I don't know why I know that, but I'm not. So I thought, you know what? The clear cut's over here. I know where the roads are. Deer might cross a road, but it's probably 9 o'clock in the morning right now. If he does, it would be running. If that deer's still hanging out, he's in that patch of woods somewhere. So I'm going to take the road, and I'm jogging down this road sweating. I'm like, I'm going to go.
I know exactly where you're talking about.
Cut this deer off, come in and hunt right off the road, just kind of slip in there just far enough and try to cut this deer off. I knew where a single scrape was. And I go in there and get set down. And I'm sitting there. And at this point, it's, as you showed in the picture, it's after 10 o'clock. And I remember sitting there still just kind of bathing in defeat, I felt like, of messing up that opportunity. And I told you I'd make it spiritual a little bit here. I won't ever forget. I said a prayer to God, because hunting, we've talked about it. It's very important to us, but in the grand scheme of things, it holds no. It's hard to say it holds no spiritual value, because you can let it hold some spiritual value, but it's not like a kingdom-minded thing necessarily.
Yeah.
But I sat there and I said, God, I know this deer probably has nothing to do with your plan for my life, but I know you love me, and just so you know, it would mean a lot to me if you could send it my way.
Why not throw it out there, right?
I'm gonna give that as an option. And I guess he took it, because about 20 minutes later, I'm sitting there, and I'm just kind of so defeated feeling in the morning. I'm not even paying attention. I'm just out there to still be out there. And I'm looking at the ground, just playing in the dirt with my foot.
Yeah.
And just look up, and I see horns coming my way, and I see off one side the 3 points, the chicken foot on the top of that G2. And he's walking directly at me, comes straight to that scrape I was looking at. Now, he doesn't go to work the scrape. That's what I was hoping he would do, because it would have been a 17-yard chip shot.
Were you upwind or sidewind of that scrape, or do you remember how the wind was blowing?
I can't remember exactly how the wind was blowing. I know it wasn't blowing towards the scrape.
Obviously.
But I knew he wasn't going to come from behind me either, because I was pretty close to those houses in the road, but just to where I'm legal pretty much. And I knew he didn't go up there and coming back. So I knew if he comes, he's going to come from this direction. So I'd kind of cut that deer off, and hour and a half probably after I first saw that deer, he's coming back in my lap. Doesn't go to work the scrape, kind of how they often do. I bet you the wind was blowing from my left to right, because the scrape's in front of me, and he goes to where the scrape is, but goes to the right-hand side of it, but stays in a thicket over there. And when I say a thicket, it's not big trees and stuff. It's just a bunch of pine saplings he's walking through. And I just see one spot where I'm like, if he makes it right there, I'm going to shoot. And I don't know the yardage, but I know if this deer's inside 30, I'll put my 30 on his heart and my 20 will be on his lungs. I'm just going to send an arrow at him, Well, he was quartering to me slightly, but this was my one window. So I draw back. When he's passing through there, I let an arrow go and heard it connect. I saw it hit a little further back than I like to. I honestly immediately thought I clipped the liver and went in the guts, probably.
Yeah.
But it was a rushed shot, and not to make excuses, but that's just how it was. He came, I drew back and shot. Didn't know the yardage. I think he ended up being like 20, maybe 24 yards when I stepped it off after.
Still perfect for us.
Oh, absolutely. And that deer took off running. I immediately called my dad, because we had been texting all morning. I said, I just had a big buck. He come in, and he knew what was going on. So I immediately called him and said, Dad, I need you to come over here. I'm going to need help finding this deer. I think I just made a bad shot, but I knew it was lethal, But we're not playing with a big patch of timber where we can.
You can move him out of there pretty easy.
Right. So I told Dad, he was doing something. I can't remember, but I remember saying, if you can be here in the next 2 hours, I'll wait at least that long anyway, maybe even 3 hours, and we'll go look for him or just look at blood. Well, I'm just making a beeline to the truck at this point, trying to get out of the woods as quick and quiet as possible in a straight line where I'm not leaving any scent, or I'm hoping this deer went and bedded down and I can leave him alone and he'll die in the next few hours. When I get to where I can see my truck, Dad had said, send me a picture of that arrow. And before I started walking the truck, I took a picture of that arrow and sent it. Well, I accidentally sent it to my buddy William, which is fine, but I meant to send it to my dad. So William had called me and said, hey man, what's the deal with the bloody arrow? What'd you get? And I'm talking to him while I'm walking this beeline for the truck. And I said, man, I'm almost to the truck. Me and Dad are going to look for him here in a few hours. Feel free to come on if you want. I'm literally looking at my truck I'm not about to get in it, but I'm inside of my truck just kind of finishing my conversation with William. and I turn and look to my right, and that deer's laying from me to your weight bench. He had basically ran directly to my truck and just piled up and was laying dead right there. And you said earlier you'd take luck over being good any day. There was some luck and some blessing involved on that hunt right there. We had put in some work to kill a deer in there, but there was a lot of luck or blessing, whatever you'd want to call it, involved in that too. So
God wanted you to have that deer for sure.
Yeah, he did.
But the thing is about that, and this is something I hear you say so many. I don't think you realize how many times in a hunt you say this. It won't hurt. You say that so much. You have the best outlook and attitude, and that's what I love. And I try. Even you're younger than me by a lot, but I soak from everybody. I try to have those thoughts even with me and Travis. I used to be so rigid, and once I figured out what works, I'm only going to do what I know works.
Yeah.
But being around you and your spirit so much, you're like, well, it won't hurt. I'm like, hey, should I bring this or this? Well, it won't hurt. Should we walk over there and do this? Well, it won't hurt. And you have made so many good hunts out of, well, it won't hurt nothing to walk. It's just being, because the thing is, you're ambitious, and you have that same spirit that I have, that Jeremy Duggar has, that you'll have some friends that don't believe there's a deer down any road.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Jeremy believe there's a Boone and Crockett down every road we go down. And you have that. You're like, it won't hurt. Just do the work. Just don't be afraid to just go over there and try. So many people are like, I'm not going to go over this honeysuckle thicket on the ground by those houses with that rooster running around trying to kill the best buck in East Texas. Luke Hatch will say, it won't hurt.
Yeah.
And what'd you get out of it?
Well, it's like Dad's always told me, there's one place you for sure won't kill him, and that's at the house. So even if you be in the woods, be in a spot that you think you're going to kill him in the woods, but the main thing's be out there. That's the only place you're going to kill him. And then on top of that, it's sometimes more important to ask why not than why. Try to find a reason not to do something before you say, why would I do that? Think, man, maybe there's no reason I should try it.
Why not try that? Yeah. So I remember I killed a doe the next morning. You called me, y'all texted me, you or your dad, probably you. Mm-hmm. Me and you were pretty thick into things by then. Yeah. And you texted us, hey, I just killed a nice buck. I'm skinning him. I'm like, well, I'm headed to Jefferson now. I'm going to come see it. Mm-hmm. And I went over there. I'm like, golly, you got his head cut off. Fought his head. I'm like, you're not mounting that, man? Like, no, I'm going to wait till I get a big one. I'm like, dude, that's as good as any buck I have on my
I can always go back and mount that.
Yeah, that buck, if of all the bucks you killed, it blows my mind that you didn't mount that deer or the Tally Bottom 8-point. Like those two deer,
they both
are so special from where they, how and where they should be on the wall, dude. That's just my opinion, but you can always mount.
I don't disagree with that at all. And there'll probably be a time where that is. The deer, to me, William says the same thing to me all the time, like about those two deer and some others. Man, you should have those shoulder mounted. But the deer mean the same to me. I can look at that deer and remember, kind of like we were talking about earlier, the story behind it.
Yep.
And that's the most important thing. And I've got that to remind me, just the Euro mounts and the skull caps and everything. But man,
those are
you might even call it, I hate to say lazy. It's not that I'm too lazy to mount one. It's just I don't want to give him away that for that long and don't really feel like paying for it right now.
Yeah.
So.
I get it. Well, that buck, like I said, if there's a signature East Texas Luke Hatch buck, that turkey foot buck is definitely, and that should be his name. He's turkey foot.
Turkey foot.
Yeah, or chicken foot. I'm sorry, chicken foot. Yeah, chicken foot. Dominic Rooster got you that morning in that.
Yes.
But I've been in that spot, and if I was walking down that road with you, going into that spot, and you said, I killed my biggest East Texas deer right here on the ground right there, I've been like, man, why you storing me like that?
Yeah.
But you did. So we talked about early season, your 3 days, which you just proved you were right on the money with those days. And you've also had a lot of great luck in the postseason, postseason, but late season on over into muzzleloader season. And that is 100% just hunting food sources pretty much.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying you won't kill them another way. I'm not a professional on it, but that has worked for me. If you can if you can make them come eat during late season when they're through chasing does around, and most food sources are pretty depleted at that point, along with the deer, they'll come in, especially with a muzzleloader when you can back up far enough away that as long as the wind's in your face, they have enough room to come scent check it still in front of you before they go to it. So we've killed, me and you killed that one doing that. Basically, I guess 2 years in a row we have.
Yeah.
And then I've killed 2 other ones that are nice public land deer during muzzleloader season doing the same thing, just hunting the food source late in the season. And
Getting in close to thickets too, where the bucks only catch them right when they have to come out, right?
Right on the edge of thickets. Every single one of them, I shot in the open, but the deer was from me to you from a thicket when I shot him.
Yeah.
And there might be better ways, but that's worked really good for me. And I like muzzleloader season. It seems like not necessarily the most rewarding, but the easiest time. If
people have given up by then, right? They're all at home getting ready for Christmas parties, and
absolutely,
they're just out of it. Their season's over, and you're out there just ramping up. Seems like
if someone said, not my favorite time to hunt, but what's the best time to go kill a deer? Like you just want to go kill a deer, and in muzzleloader season, it could be anything. It might be a bucket. Definitely going to be some does that come in there, but the latest in the season you can hunt, which is why muzzleloader season, over half the people don't muzzleloader hunt anyway. That's probably like a 5%.
Yeah,
out there.
I would say you're probably right. Yeah,
and it works really well.
Yeah,
we've enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, let's. Are you a bow purist?
No.
You know your daddy is.
Yeah.
Oh, John Paul. He went bow only a long time ago. Not an anti-gun by any means, but his joy comes from bow hunting. You know, my heart and soul is in bow hunting with bows, especially with Hoyt and all that. But I also enjoy them guns a little bit. But I've noticed that's where me and you've had a greater connection. Even though it was December, like who has that story? Who can say they went and killed a buck in December on public with a bow? That's you, man. I'm telling you, you're something special. But you love that bow, and you had a new bow this year, so you're wanting to kill a deer with a bow. So I get that part of it too. But up to the point to where you got that new bow, we were going muzzleloader only. We were all in on muzzleloaders.
Absolutely.
And you're like, man, I feel like I need to take this Hoyt one more time. And you did, and you got that buck. But just talk about that. Like, if you could choose your best day in the woods, the buck of your dreams comes in the perfect spot. Obviously, you want it to be bow hunting.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But at the end of the day, I love all of it. And I'm going to use what makes the most. Well, I can't even say it. It always would make more sense to use a rifle from a success standpoint. It is way easier. But there's a lot of places that I want to hunt that it's just not a good bow setup. And I still love shooting deer with a rifle. I just like shooting deer.
Yeah.
You know, and easiness aside from it, to me, there is still something special about a set of crosshairs and the sound of a rifle ringing through the woods and just watching a deer lay over when you shoot. You don't get that with a bow. And it's almost like a core memory, like when you're a little kid, you know, that's how you hunt. And I don't know. I still love gun hunting. It doesn't. I'm not at all a bow purist. It is my favorite. Any deer I shoot with a gun, I'd rather shoot with a bow. But I would shoot any deer I shoot with a bow. I'd still shoot it with a gun. You know, if that makes any sense.
I killed my target buck with. It's like I'll go bow. 3 years in a row, I'll kill a nice buck on the lease with a bow. And then all of a sudden, I'll get some hankering to shoot one with a gun. I'll shoot it. It'll totally satisfy something in me. And I want to go bow again. Yeah. I keep going. But this year, I shot my target buck with a gun. And the way it went down, the whole thing, catching him going to scrapes, crack of daylight, from the ground, shot him with that 25-06. I wouldn't have traded that for anything, man. No, because I would not have gotten him with a bow.
Well, and that's kind of like the deer I shot on my lease this year. I had that spot set up for bow hunting, not the feeder we were talking about, that where I couldn't connect with him, but where I ended up killing that deer was a area I'd set up, no feeder, just kind of hunting it natural. It's a travel corridor. Had me a lock on in a tree, saw deer, 5 or 6 deer every single time I'm going to sit there. It's just a matter of time. There's buck sign. I know if I sit in this tree long enough, he's going to come by.
Yeah.
And I did have trail cameras running down there with a really nice 10-point and the same buck that was about 600 yards away on that feeder. he had been passing through there on my trail cameras too. Well, they had went in there and they clear cut that spot. I went in there to hunt it one day and it was clear cut. And this is at the deer lease. So I'm sitting there scratching my head and I'm irritated a little bit, thinking, man, that was my favorite bow spot on this whole lease. Well, I thought, well, maybe it's still a good spot. It's not a good bow spot at all anymore, but it might still be a good spot. So the next time I came there, I brought my 30-06 Weatherby Vanguard, and very first sit in there with a rifle, 150 yards, would have never killed that deer with a bow, but folded him up following a doe through that clear cut. So
You have a name for that gun?
I haven't named it, but
I think it's a killer, man.
Yeah,
You have laid down so many deer with that thing.
It's
man.
not even it's not a high end gun. It's kind of just this basic model.
It's a basic older Weatherby Vanguard, green stock, synthetic. But golly,
I have no reason to get a different deer rifle, and I still buy other guns because I like them. But I have no reason to. Dad told me when I was in college. I don't remember how I came into what was a little bit of money to me at that time. It was probably nothing, but I thought I was rich for a short second. I don't know how I got some money in my hand, but I told Dad, I don't have a deer rifle of my own. He says, you need to find a 30-06. He said, that's, and growing up, that's what all the men at the deer lease shoots, 30-06. Some people are 270 or something, but 30-06 kind of is nostalgic, I guess, and I went to a pawn shop. Dad had told me a 30-06, you can hunt anything in the North American continent with. So if you're only going to have one rifle, your first rifle needs to be a 30-06, and then you can buy other rifles, And I went to the pawn shop. It's a nice pawn shop where it's all firearms. That's what they sell is used guns. And that gun was sitting there for $500 with a Nikon Pro Staff scope on it. I bought it, got some 150 grain Remington core locks off the shelf, took that gun home, and I guess that's what that guy shot, because the first shot I fired through it was a bullseye. I had never touched the scope. I've never shot another bullet out of that gun. Now, I did put another scope on that gun. I got a Vortex I put on it. My wife had bought me a really nice Vortex, and I wanted it on that gun. So I pulled the Nikon off of it and have that gun on it, or that scope on it now. But since then, I've got a few nicer rifles, but that's still, if I can only keep one of them, that's the one,
Abigail's your name.
Yeah.
Oh, Trusty Rusty.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, Brother Blinks.
For sure.
Yeah. Thing. I've seen so many pictures of you with grip and grin, that old green rifle. I love that. I love identifiable rifle with a guy. So you went to Pops for some advice on that. Let's talk about your dad for a minute.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how tough this guy is.
Yeah.
Like, your dad's been my friend since we were 7 years old. And we already had him on the podcast talking to him. And there were so many things. We're like, oh, we went to talk about this. Oh, we went to talk about that. But there's one specific story that we want to talk about about the pocket knife. So talk about how tough John Paul is through that whole experience, and how amazed you were at how calm he was. From the phone call to how you found him. And so, a little backstory. Tell them what we're talking about and tell us what you saw from your perspective.
So we're talking about when he fell about 18 foot out of a tree for the second time. First time he broke his arm and his ribs and maybe some other stuff. I don't remember. That was with you. This time was he fell 18 foot from a tree and had a compound fracture between his ankle and his knee. Broke those bones, and bones were sticking out. My dad is probably one of the most physically tough people I've ever met. Not in a bad way. You wouldn't necessarily get that just from meeting him, because he's a pretty calm, gentle guy. But you could take it for granted and not realize how tough he is. And I've seen that through a lot of aspects in life, emotionally, physically, everything.
Yeah.
Which he probably got from his dad. That's probably a trait, because
as children, your dad never cried when he hurt himself.
Yeah.
I've seen him fall out of trees, BB gun wars. We got into some stuff. Hooks.
Yeah.
We've been in some stuff as children. I will say this, not to stop.
Yeah, no,
but even as a child, I'm not sure your grandpa allowed him to cry. But I remember as kids, when kids would cry for normal stuff, I don't remember him even as a kid. He'd be like, what happened? Like, oh, there's some meat hanging off. Is it good? Yeah, let's go. Okay, let's go. We got squirrels to kill. I'm like, man, you're tough, because I'd probably be crying a little bit on that one. So I get it, even from a child. In the 70s, I remember him being super resilient to physical pain like that.
Yeah. And so we had went hunting in the Tally Bottoms. You can't take vehicles in there. Bicycle only. We typically didn't even use bicycles. We just walked in. Seemed like it's almost just as fast to walk. Those bumpy old pothole roads, trying to ride a bike down it and have your bow and all your gear, it's kind of a pain. So we just walked. We were hunting, where I was hunting that day was about a 30-minute walk through the woods. There was I guess there were some trails you went down, but there was no roads we were walking down. Dad walked the opposite direction, probably a 20-minute walk. So just a regular walk. We're hunting almost an hour apart because he's hunting basically the exact opposite direction. Now, thankfully, he had went down a path that had a road a long ways in there, and then he cut off through the woods probably 400 yards or so and was sitting in a tree that he's had success in before. And we've always, Dad's a big safety guy. He's always been, text me when you get in the stand type deal, and always telling you, be sure you got your safety belt, stuff like that. And which is ironic because he gets hurt in the woods more than anybody I know. But that day, I remember I got up in that tree where I was, and he should have been to the tree before me, but I hadn't got a text from him. I didn't think nothing of it. He's probably getting ready or whatever. He might have walked in on some hogs.
In and ready. That's what the text always
says, in and ready.
In and ready.
So I pulled out my phone, texted him, in and ready. And about 15 minutes went by, and I'm not worried, but I am slightly concerned. Probably like, man, Dad is real big on safety, and he's always checking on his people, And I see my phone ring. His dad, I didn't think anything bad at first. When I saw it ring, I'm like, he ain't texting me because he killed a deer walking in or something, or got into some hogs. He's calling to tell me about something. When I answered the phone, I said, hey, Pop, what's up? And he said, hey, I need you to head my way. I said, okay. He said, yeah, I think I might have broke my leg. I said, all right. And I said, are you like, what happened? He said, well, I fell off the ladder and I'm at the bottom of the tree. I think I might have broke my leg. I said, okay, well, can you walk on it? He said, no. I said, are you sure you broke it? He said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I broke it. I said, okay, well, then I'm starting to think, all right, I'm like an hour from my dad. You can't even get a vehicle back there because it's behind a locked gate that I don't have the key to. So I leave my bow, everything in the tree, take off, and I'm probably running / jogging through the woods trying to buy a little time to get to him. And when I get to that gate, I call him, and I'm like, hey, Dad, just checking in. I'm about halfway to you. Are you good? He said, yeah, I'm still here. He said, I forgot to say that part. He said a line off Lonesome Dove. I don't even know if he knows that. When I think P.I. leaves Gus down in the creek, Gus says when P.I.'s going to get help, he says, come a running. Like, meaning when you bring him back. He told me, come a running.
Yeah.
I remember that. I don't know if he does or not. But whenever I got down to that gate, I remember calling him, and I could hear the pain in his voice when I talked to him right there. Very calm still, but could hear the pain in his voice. So he's telling me what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a deer cart, and I'm going to get him on this deer cart, and I'm going to pull him out of the woods and put him in the bed of my truck and drive him to the hospital. And I think right there is where he told me it's definitely broken, just so you know, like there's no doubt it's a solid break. And I'm starting to brainstorm thinking this deer cart deal ain't going to work. And his leg was flopping. It wasn't just a little break. It was flopping. So we got the deer cart. I went down there. We gave that a very short go, I would say. 0 success. You couldn't pull him an inch without. He didn't scream, but I mean just you could see his whole body tense up and body turn pale white. So I'm skipping ahead. When I got up on him, he's laying there just sprawled out. And
spread eagle, on his back.
On his back. I can see his leg kicked off to the side where it's broke.
Compound fracture, bone sticking out through the meat, foot backwards.
And he's got his pocket knife out. And I'm thinking, what in the world has he got his pocket knife? Is he going to cut his leg off or something? I don't know what he's trying to do.
Right.
And I said, Dad, what are you doing with that pocket knife? He said, there were some hogs rooting around over there. And I know there was because when I was coming in, I heard them squealing. And I said, well, you weren't going to kill them with that. And he said, well, they weren't going to have me for free. He said, so he was going to go down fighting, I guess. But
That's tough, man. That's
ended
tough, buddy.
I ended up calling the medics from Eastman Chemical at the time. They have medics on standby there, and said, look, I think we need some professional help. I can't drag my dad out on this deer cart of this woods like he wants me to and hand load him into my F-150 and run to the hospital, So they come down there. It takes probably an hour to get down there. I think they didn't have the key to that gate. Had to go get the key. Dad's been in the woods for about an hour and a half at this time. By the time they're down there with us, he is just ghost white, calm talking, but he's just shaking.
Shock has already set in. Yeah.
And
because you go into shock with an injury like that.
When we were dragging him out of there on this, it's basically a heavy duty tarp. Every time you went over a log or something, his leg just. And I remember I wanted to pass out really bad just watching it. I was like, I'm going to have to just look away for all this. And I can hear him grunting and wincing and all this. It was terrible. We get him out and get him to the hospital. The doctor said, you are one of the few people that wouldn't pass out. He said 99.9% of people would have been unconscious from a few minutes after that happened until we got some morphine in your system and something to help take that edge off. But he was sober and awake the whole time, and he probably was wishing he wasn't. I know it was terrible. It was painful to watch. So that's the story of that.
I can see the pictures of him in the hospital, the foot, and you can see the mud and pine straw and leaves laying on the hospital floor in the puddle of blood that came out of that wound, that flop. It's like it makes my skin crawl knowing that how you had to get him out of there. And I think he said that he told the doctor he needed a discount because he didn't have to relocate his shoulder when he gave him that shot to put him out to work on his leg. Once his body relaxed, his shoulder went right back into socket. And he said, well, you better knock that off my bill because the doctor said he could or he said he should. Either way, I remember that story coming up. Something like that, John? Yeah, give me a discount. I did the work for you on my shoulder.
Yeah.
But that's cool, man. Nobody has that story. And
no, it's a good bad story though.
It's a cool bad story. I'm glad that I know the guy that suffered that. I'm sorry it was my friend, but when I broke my leg, it sure gave me perspective of. I broke my leg bone a month ago, same way in the driveway. Didn't compound, but it broke the fibula, the little bone, in half, long ways for about 6 inches, and shock set in. I had to crawl on the ice to get back to my front door. The whole time I'm like, it's still ain't bad as John's. Yeah. No matter how bad this is today, it's not that bad. I didn't break my shoulder and my freaking leg. It's just my leg.
And the doctors said afterwards, due to there was so much dirt and stuff in the hole that his bone was sticking out of, they didn't tell us all this at the time, but they had already anticipating we're just going to have to amputate that leg eventually because it's going to get infected. It never did.
Wow.
I'm walking on it today, but they were expecting for that to end up in an amputation.
This from infection?
There was so much dirt and pine straw.
Was his boot still on, or did y'all pull his boot off in the woods?
We cut the boot off.
In the woods?
Yes, which ended up being a bad idea. We wanted to see, you could see, like I said, his foot was flopping around.
Was he wearing mucks?
Muck boots.
Yeah, you cut it off with a knife?
We cut it off. I think one of the first aid guys brought some scissors, and he didn't realize it was poking out at the time. And I want to say after he realized that, he was like, no, since the bone's sticking out, we've got to wrap this thing back up. And maybe he duct taped it or something, that boot back shut, just to try to keep debris out of it, which clearly didn't work because, like you said, there's the picture of the hospital floor where it's the blood that was dripping out of his leg, and there's leaves and pine straw in the blood.
In the hospital floor, yeah.
Yep.
It's just such a gruesome sight to see. Well, there'll be a picture of that in both of y'all's podcasts.
I'll be looking at it.
Yeah.
I saw it that one day, and it was good.
That's all you want to see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I needed your perspective on that story because this is a really great episode with some really good meat and potato how-to, because you are one of the best at what you do, and you're very humble. But you need to know, I've been around, know a lot of people, been doing it a long time. You're good at it because you're willing to just try. It ain't going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one of the best things. So you're a very good East Texas hunter, learning from the best from your father. I've hunted with you some, and you've had some great guys around you, but you're the guy doing the work with the gumption and the drive to make it happen. And I wanted the listening audience to hear from one of the guys I consider the very best at East Texas hunting for deer and game, any kind of. If we were talking about ducks, deer, quail, dove, whatever, if it's in East Texas, you're one of the best there are at it. And I just wanted to throw that out there. And all your buddies watching this are going to throw eggs at you and toilet paper your house.
I'll take it. All my buddies are, most of them are about as, we all do this together. So we're all right there in it together.
William's good too.
Oh, yeah.
I hunted with William a couple of times. He's good. Boy can find deer. And he's good at it. And enjoyed every minute in the woods with him also. Had some great moments with you young fellas.
And that's probably a piece of it too, is just staying out there. I know a lot of folks, not to just stay on that subject, but a lot of people just, they either go to the same spot over and over and over all season long, never change things up. And that's, I mean, you've done the math within the first few sits. If it's not working, it's not working. You need to try something else.
You're hanging and hoping at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, luck's the only way you're going to get one. And then two, I mean, without some serious homework, you're probably not going to kill a deer in 4 or 5 sits. I'm blessed and have a wonderful wife that understands how, it's probably not that important to her, but she understands how important it is to me to be out there, and she doesn't give me too much flack about being out there a lot. So I get to spend a lot of time out there, and just the consistency of staying out there. If you spend enough time out there, you're going to see some stuff, and it kind of seems to always come together after. I mean, you're out there putting a puzzle together the whole time, and when you get enough pieces of it put together, it starts
really falling into place.
Yep, falling into place.
And that's really the key. You'll hear a theme, and we talked about it with Jackie Campbell a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's time on the stand.
Yep.
In East Texas, really, it's find the hot feed tree, find the hot travel route with the best buck sign with a buck living in it, or just spend the time in the woods. It's going to take something like that. But if you're depending on every other Saturday all through season going and sitting under your favorite tree, it's going to depend on luck.
Yes, sir.
It's just going to have one come by at the time you're sitting there.
Yeah.
But if you're serious about getting out, mixing it up, it's understanding what you're looking for, getting in the mind of a mature whitetail buck, what he's thinking about. And a thing that I'm really into now is timeline, is following dates. Like, if I got a picture of this deer at this spot on this date, I'm noticing on trends now over the last 10 years, I have a buck just like that, just about that same day every year at that spot.
Yeah.
It's almost a secret code that I broke that kind of takes the fun out of it, because I know I go set in 59 straight.
Yep.
59 straight. If I go set in 59 straight the first week of November, I'm killing a deer, period. Yep. If I go set down in Dowdens, anywhere in them bottoms, the week of Thanksgiving, I won't kill a big buck.
Yeah.
Travis can go set in the woods behind his feeder where he killed his buck 2 years ago. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, he gonna kill a big buck.
Yeah.
You don't have to even think about it. You can just, I could not fill feeders. I could do nothing all year long but take a week off at Thanksgiving and go sit in Dowden bottoms. I'm gonna shoot a mature buck. That's cool. A lot of people are going, man, I wish I had that. It's cool, but you can burn that out real quick. And it's not, I like what you do. Like, I want to go mix it up. I want to go find all the pieces of the puzzle and start putting them together until, wham, I kill a chicken foot, or I kill the big buck down at Tally Bottoms, or whatever.
That's something you've talked about too that's fun. Nothing against trail cameras. They're huge parts in success stories, and I do not take credibility away from them. But there's something fun about not running trail cameras too. Just trusting the sign and your instinct to let you know, and letting that deer be a surprise. Trail cameras have ruined. They've got me some deer killed and ruined it, because I've had really nice deer on camera that I wanted to shoot, and another deer come beside me that's just a little smaller than that one, and I passed that deer up when I would have never done that, because that was a really nice deer, but I knew that other one existed. Yeah. If I'd have killed that deer, it would have been worth it. The 2 times I'm thinking of, I never ended up killing that bigger deer, and I don't have those deer that I really would have loved to have had. So, and it also, whenever I see deer that I've already seen on trail camera, it's a little less, it's still exciting, but it's not as exciting as when you see horns coming and you're pulling up your binoculars. What is this deer? And,
Yeah.
figuring it out as you're seeing it. And nothing against trail cameras. I just think that's a fun way.
They're
to do
so
it.
fun to watch. Number one for me, I just went and canceled my credit card on Spy Point. I'm done with it.
Yes, sir.
The next time we go in the woods, I'm pulling all 8 of my cameras. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to know anymore. So I'm gonna have a real good sale on some Spy Point for everybody. I still like to run old-fashioned SD card cameras on some certain travel routes and let them soak for the whole year. And then when you pull them, you have a whole year's worth to look at. That's really cool, right?
You can scout for next year, like you're talking about too.
But that. I never have a day that I'm not connected to my deer lease. I get pictures year round. I never have a chance to miss the place. I know what's going on. It takes all the element of surprise and joy and out of it. For me, here's where cameras are very important. Big South Texas deer lease. We're spending big money. We have a very specific kill list. We're only going to shoot these deer. We need 50 cameras on all these food plots. We're spending big money to raise these deer, and we're charging big money to kill these deer. We have a very specific kill lot that we want to kill. Or a hunting club in East Texas. 10 dudes come together, all like-minded. Yeah. We all only want to kill. We only want 5.5-year-old 150 class bucks and bigger, and we're spending $10,000 a year on protein. And they're not hunting; they're managing that property. Yeah, why wouldn't you? Because now we have a kill list. We know that old J-hook and S-claw and turkey foot and T-rex. These are all the bucks we want to kill this year. You're not hunting. You're just setting up to kill those bucks when they come through your pasture. I can understand, but for good old Texas, East Texas rednecks, where the very best thing we may ever see in our lives is a 150. If I'm being honest with you, I want to have never seen that deer in my life. I want to be sitting there one day, chewing my red man, hooting on my little call. I look over in a scrape and there's 100 chocolate antler, 20-inch wide, 150-inch 10-point. Pissing and scrape right there. Yeah. And I'm pissing in this pine tree right here because I about to fall out and I shoot him. That's how I want my experience to be. Well, if that's what I want my experience to be, you can't have 8 cell cameras running 365 and expect to be surprised. And if I do see that deer, the chances of me ever seeing him in the woods with the wind right on a certain day with a bow and arrow are astronomical.
That deer's not going to be consistent on a trail camera anyway.
And so now that I know he's there, how many bucks would I just give my eye teeth to kill, like you just said, pass up for that? I'm not saying any of that's wrong. I'm saying all of that's wrong for me. I want to be surprised. I'm not looking for recognition. I'm not looking for affirmation. I'm not looking for you to tell me good job, bad job, or permission. I'm going to pay my money to hunt my lease, and I want to be surprised when a deer that came out, if he tricks me or not, but it surprised me and tripped my trigger, I want to shoot him, take him to Alpine taxidermy, I'm going to hang him up on that wall, and I don't care what the rest of the world does. That is just my experience. That's what I want. And that's what I didn't get to in your dad's podcast. I think we talked about it after his podcast, but I've already told Travis, I already canceled my subscription. I still have free, right? Yes. So I'm still on the juice, man. I still got it in the vein. I'm still checking it every day as long as those cameras. But of all 8, I only have 2 that have live batteries. The rest have been dead since season. But when we go down in a couple of weeks, we actually need to go in a couple of weeks. We got to get some firewood. Kids are coming for spring break, and we're going to have fires out here. So we need to go fill our feeders to keep the pigs and stuff around, the does, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to pull all my cell cameras, and I want to start over, and I want to be surprised because of what you just said. And me and you, we've talked about that extensively in trees or walking in or just being in the woods together. Like, man, I'm glad we don't have cameras down here because when one walks out, and here's the thing, when you've hunted as long as we've hunted and as savvy as you are or I am or any of us, when you don't even, like the buck I killed this year, Spanky, I wasn't sure that was him I shot. But when I saw him, I knew I was going to shoot that deer regardless of who he was. And that was the very defining moment when I said, I was filming I don't even know what buck I just shot. I think I just shot this buck, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That
It didn't matter.
charged something that just brought back to life the whole feeling of why I hunt. That dopamine, that hit. I want that hit, man. I want that hit of, you might walk up there and go, shoot, that is not what I thought it was. And more times than not, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Or I walked up and went, oh, it's Spanky. And when I called Travis, I mean, it was pure joy in my heart, my voice, to the point where I'm like, I never call you off stand. I'm stoic. Like, I'm going to hunt, do my thing. I don't want nobody calling me. Just do you. I'm going to do me. You hunt, I'm hunting. But I called. I'm like, I just killed Spanky. I kept texting him. I killed Spanky. And I'm sending videos of me with Spanky. And he's like, what do you want me to do, man? I'm like, honestly, I want you and Carson to come over and share this moment with me.
Yeah.
And I felt selfish, but I wanted them to come share this with, because Travis had hunted that deer too.
Yeah.
Travis had missed him with a muzzleloader. I had passed him the same year he missed him, which is a fluke because he shot, missed it at 50 yards on the feeder in late season muzzleloader. And I said, well, shoot that log. And he puts a hole in the hole that he aimed at. Like, just God didn't want him to have it that day. We can't explain that one.
Yeah.
But then 2 years later, I killed him as a 5-year-old, and he was good.
Oh,
like, he was a good
I haven't
deer.
seen him in person yet.
But he's good. He's going to look real good right where that one's at.
Absolutely.
But when I walked up on it, it surprised me even how big he actually was. And I mean, I'm not talking even Pope and Young, but he just, because he was off lopsided, just a mature 8-point buck.
Sir.
But I was like, that's the experience. And it was with a gun. It was with a rifle.
Yeah.
I shot him walking on the ground. He was walking, and I just shot. I was like, that is hunting. There's managing property when you have a kill list, $10,000 in protein, growing what you want, and you're controlling the environment. That's called land management.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call that hunting. Call that land management. I'm going to set in this box on this food plot in this pasture, and when that deer of that criteria comes to it, that is what that is.
Yeah.
Me and you throwing a climber on our backs and going into boggy creek bottoms of East Texas, woolly booger Bigfoot bottoms, not knowing if we're going to make it out alive or not, climbing up a post oak, and that joker comes crunching out right at dark. And remember, our hearts were racing. I had that scope, and I'm trying to make him out, and it turned out to be that legal, but not what I wanted, 8-point.
Yeah.
But dude,
that
that thrill of not even knowing what that was.
Yeah.
That's what hunting. That gives me goosebumps right now.
Oh, man. I was fired up listening to him come in. It's kind of one of those deals. Didn't know if he was a big one, but it was obvious he was a buck the way he was crashing through that thicket there. Stepped out. Wasn't the one we were after, but still very memorable.
Remember how long he stayed?
Yeah.
We both went up the same tree. We went up the same tree in climbers. And I'm facing this way. And he's
35, 40 feet up.
We're like 35 feet up in this big post oak. And we just knew we were in the X.
Yeah.
Like, we're there. And then you heard, 'cause I can't hear good. I have bad ears. You're like, what? All right, man, I'm ready. That long gate.
Yep.
And it's just like, I can hear your heartbeat. And then he steps out, and you can see yellow. He's got a rack. And I'm looking, I'm trying. It's like, check the phone. You're checking the phone. We got 3 minutes of shooting light left. Okay. Man, I just want to see him. We got 3 minutes of shooting light left, 2 minutes of shooting light. And finally, he's right here. I'm like, I can't shoot him.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what he is, but he's right there. But I know he's legal, but I don't know what he is. And it turned out that last glimpse was he was that short-tined, legal 8-point, 3-year-old deer.
Yeah.
Could shot him, but we were after. I've already killed a big buck.
Seen him a day or two before. Or something.
Yeah. We knew him because we seen him the day before at the end of that cut there.
Yeah.
But that is hunting. That right there is not land management. That is.
Yeah.
That's East Texas, show enough redneck getting it on right there.
Yeah, we didn't that could have been a 150-inch deer for all we knew at the time. For sure.
Awesome.
No, that was good. I'm looking forward to doing that again. Get you healed up. And
I'm on the mend, man. I got 4 more weeks, and I get to go see if I start weight bearing. If so, man, what I want to do this year, Luke, is I want to get out in those early days with you without a stand on our backs, and I want to do some of that walking too.
Yeah.
Let's go shoot some pigs and look for those early white oaks, because I think I really, really want the experience of shooting a good East Texas public land buck out of white oaks.
That is the connoisseur on feed trees.
Yeah.
He growing up, he always put me in the spot, you know, kind of. I didn't know what I was doing. He would just say, sit in this tree. It was almost always some oaks dropping. And he'd tell you, you know, you need to look for their scat and their, like the leaves to be turned over and some half crunched up acorns and stuff like that. And I'd always see deer, and he's killed quite a few deer that way. I hadn't got as good at finding feed tree. I mean, when you see one, it's obvious it is, but he's got a nose for him.
Yeah.
And
well, there's a buck that's got my number over there at 3 Scrapes.
uh-huh.
He's wearing me.
He's got all of our number at some point.
Me and
mine,
you.
yours, and
Hey,
Cole's. It's
if
probably the same deer.
If
Dad
me
was
and
talking
you
about.
and William and Cole and Jackson, if we got to go do a man drive in there, set people up on that road and push that thicket, we're going to kill that sucker
We'll
this
get
year.
Dad on that one trail with the muzzle loader just in case he gets past us.
No, he's going to sit there with my double barrel #1 buckshot in it, and that's if it comes along, he's going to blow his butt off. But like deer's got, I saw that deer this year. You've seen him, Jackson's seen him. I think your dad might have seen him, and I saw him.
That's the first nice buck I've ever, like, sure enough nice buck I ever grunted in, and it was with that Hattie bow.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was like a 140-inch deer. He's not little.
It happened so fast, and I was just in awe with my jaw on the ground when he ran by me that I don't even know what he was. I just know I heard a buck grunting up in the thicket, and I started grunting back. Then he was grunting back, and I was flipping out, and I saw just flashes of deer running back and forth in that thicket. Every time I'd grunt, you could wait a few seconds, and he'd do almost mimicking my grunt. It was like we were conversating, you know. Yeah. And a doe comes by me, and I'm watching that doe, and then she stops and is just feeding, and I'm looking around. Nothing's coming. That doe probably stayed there for 2 or 3 minutes. And I had my recurve that day. And about all of a sudden, she turned and took off. And about that time, I turned to my left, and that buck was trotting by me at about 25 yards. I probably would have flung an arrow with the compound because he was in the open. Might would have been a little risky, but I think I'd have done it. The recurve, he was quartering away, probably 25 yards, getting further. I had to just let him walk. But that was a stud, though.
Yeah, he's a big buck.
My dad and mom have taught me about Jesus my whole life growing up. I've walked to the front of churches multiple times, and I've been baptized 3 times. Probably won't do it a 4th, but I've made a profession of faith 3 individual times, baptized each of those times. And one of the preachers, the preacher I grew up going to his church, he told me one day, he said, Luke, he says, you keep doing this. He says, you got to quit putting your faith in your faith and start putting your faith in Jesus. He said, your faith is in your own faith, and that's why you keep thinking you need to be resaved. He says, you don't need to be resaved. You're just realizing your own faith is coming short. He said, but just start focusing on your faith being in Jesus and not your faith in your faith, and you'll get peace with it and gain some ground. And ever since he told me that, it was like a light bulb that went off. Not to say we do have a freedom card at this point, but it's not freedom to do whatever or anything like that. But our focus is on that he did everything for us. Don't look at ourselves for our salvation. It is all on him, and we live a life that reflects appreciation for that.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best way I could sum that up.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That is exactly perfect, man.
Yes,
that's a great way. That makes me feel good because I'm in a new place. I've been baptized. I was baptized at 12.
Yes,
I got saved at 12. Come to know Christ as my Lord and Savior, and only through Him I'll be with the Father.
Yeah.
At 12 years old, got baptized. Immediately come out of the water sinning. Immediately come out and was a 12-year-old kid.
Yes, sir.
And then at 47, I got my mom saved.
Mm-hmm.
And she's terrified of water. She can't swim. The only way we went out to Lake Waxahachie, and the only way she would get baptized is if I'd go with her.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, I'm going to hold my mom's hand. And so I rededicated at 47 with my mom, came out of the water, immediately sinning. Sin on the mind of just being a normal man.
You're still living in the body of flesh. I mean, we are until we go to heaven. We can't conquer it, but we can work towards.
Here a while back in church, I was anointed with oil through a sermon that was meant for me at church through our pastor. Affected me more, opened my eyes, and affected me more than when I got baptized. I felt this is my baptism. Just the anointment on my. I am righteous in God. I'm righteous and God says I am. And when I was anointed, from that minute on, I have lived the godliest, Christ-like, best version of me I could be. And I've struggled with, should I baptize again? Nah. The first time counted. And
Well,
that's why I can keep coming back to him and saying, I need forgiveness and I can repent. Repentance is the thing.
absolutely.
And now I live in the Word, study the Word, and actually go live out. You know, our thing at church is lift him up and live him out.
Mhm.
And so I lift him up every day and I live him out every day the best that I
Yes.
can. But what you said to everybody there is going to be super impactful to somebody that thinks they got to keep getting baptized, because there's people that's done it a bunch of times.
Well, and so just the last time I got baptized was, I knew I didn't need to do it again, but part of the reason I struggled with confidence in my own faith and salvation was because I would not continue to look at Jesus. I'd look at me, which I constantly fall short. And so that's going to leave you feeling pretty low at the end of the day, you know, because I don't hit the mark. Jesus hit the mark for me and my faith's in him. But the last time I got baptized, I don't necessarily think I was probably saved the very first time, but the times I'd got baptized throughout the other two times right there, when I was growing up, both times I was put on a list to get baptized. Well, he got saved, or he made a profession of faith. He needs to get baptized. And both times it wasn't really my choice. It was just more of, hey, this is what you're supposed to do, so you're going to do it. Nothing wrong with that in the world. The third time was I wasn't even baptized the third time by the preacher that gave me that light bulb moment. It's the preacher that I'm currently attending his church, Mobley in Longview. Love it there. And that's where me and my wife are members. But I remember just saying, I want to be baptized, not because I have to, but literally just because I want to be baptized this
Yeah.
time. I want to do this with a willing heart. I want to do this because he told me to. He told me to, not because I was put on a list by somebody, you know. So, like I said, I was probably saved the first time at 7 years old, but working out your own faith is something we all have to do too, because we don't have all the answers. Just because you're saved, we're supposed to work out our faith with fear and trembling, and that I don't think there's an end date on that, other than maybe the day we go in the ground and up to heaven, you know. So,
If I ever get baptized again, you'll be there.
absolutely.
I've thought about this a lot. And in all honesty, and I'm being sincere, because I'm glad we're talking about this, because it's something I've thought about, because I didn't come back a new man. I just came back the same person with a different set of beliefs, but I was the same person. I am truly a new man. And when you're a new man, when you go in the water, you die. You're supposed to come out a new man from then on. And if I ever get baptized again, he's going to do it,
Oh,
and we're going to do it in Little Cypress.
that would
And
be
it's going to
awesome.
be on a day we're down there hunting, and it's just going to hit me. And I'm going to tell him, hey, pull the truck down here. You're fixing to baptize me right
Yeah.
now.
They'll give me a call and I won't be there.
I would be like, hey, get John
I'll
Paul down
bring
here to the
Dad.
bank. Y'all bring
Yeah.
bring a couple of spinner baits and some some jigs,
We'll be casting
beetle
on both sides of
beetle
it.
spins, and he's going to dunk me, and we're going to have a fish fry.
Yeah.
But that, if I do again, and I suspect I probably will, I want Travis to baptize me, and I want to do it in Little Cypress.
That would be special.
Yeah, because then because I'm a new man, and I want to continue, and I want the old man dead and gone and buried. But there's probably a lot of people listen to this with their own ideas of what we just talked about.
Oh, yeah.
This is what we think and
Yeah.
believe. So
Not,
we
might not
run
be
around with
ideas,
the handbook of life, trying to get it all together. So
Yes, sir.
well, Luke, I love you, man.
Love you too. Thank
I
you
love
very
you
much
like
for
you're my own kin, like
Yeah.
he's my own boy, but you're a man and you're one of my best friends on earth.
Likewise.
If there's somebody I want to be around, they're pretty much in this room. If I ain't hanging out with old Travis, I just rather be hanging out with you.
Well,
you know.
and I want to say it. I know we're probably getting towards the end of our time, but growing up, like you talked about on Dad's, when Dad was speaking on this podcast, y'all grew up together, and not that y'all's friendship separated, but y'all went different ways for a little while. Have come back together. Growing up, hearing the stories of Marc Smith, you might as well have been the president to me. You were a celebrity, you know. So getting to where y'all are rekindling your friendship or have for years now, but getting to have a friendship of my own with you and Travis and y'all's family, that's super special to me. So just want to say that.
Your whole family's super special to us.
Yes, sir.
And I'm talking about your whole family.
Yeah.
Your brothers, your aunts, your uncles, your mama, your daddy, your grandmama. Those are my family. They're my people. Travis, one day, right after John had his stroke, me and Travis and Carson went into Big Pine Lodge and sitting there eating catfish, and here comes Lisa and Rob walked in.
Yeah.
They walked over our table, just loved all over us.
Yeah.
Just loved all
Well, I
over
hadn't
us.
seen him in 15
Talking
years.
to, well, we hadn't seen him since we'd just seen him since
Oh, yeah,
the
that's
hospital.
right.
But Rob saw me right away, came over, and he's demanding we go sit at his table. We already have all of our food. I said, when we get done eating, we'll come sit with you.
Yeah.
We get done eating, we go to sit down at Rob's table with Lisa, and we all fellowship for a little bit. And when we're leaving, we're leaving, and Rob goes, "Love you, man."
Yeah.
I'm walking out, Travis goes, "Why don't you live over here?
Yeah.
These are your people." But when there's a guy like that you've known literally your whole life.
And he meant that.
Yeah, and if he was a big brother to John, he was a big brother to me. But Rob goes, "Love you, Mark." He said it so sincerely with his voice.
Yeah.
"Love you, Mark." And I was like, that dropped me. And I love you too, obviously.
Yeah.
But he had the courage and the wherewithal to say, "I love you, Mark."
Yeah.
And we're walking out the door, and I'm just shaking my head. And Travis was like, "No, why do you not live here?
Yeah.
Why do you not live amongst your people?" And so, anyway, sorry to get a little choked up.
No,
and
that's
you're going to get choked up if you're talking about this stuff. But man,
Yeah.
when you're loved and it don't affect you that way, what are you really doing, man? It's just a real honor and a pleasure. Your family's a true gift in my life, a blessing in my life, and my family feels that the Hatches are a blessing in my life. So
that is likewise for sure. So
awesome.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today, both of y'all. This has been really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'd like to end this on the same note, and because we sure love our Father in heaven, and we love Jesus, and He gave us 2 commandments: love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love each other as you love yourselves. And we certainly love you.
Amen.
We love all y'all too.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Yes, sir. Turned pale white. So I'm skipping ahead. When I got up on him, he's laying there, just sprawled out. And
Spread
he's
eagle,
got,
on his back.
On his back. I can see his leg kicked off to the side where it's broke.
Compound fracture, bone sticking out through the
Bone
knee,
is sticking
foot
out.
backwards. Yeah.